I am often asked a question that seems to touch the very core of our existence. A question that, on the surface, appears to be a simple paradox. People write to me, they ask me in halls like this, if human consciousness is truly one, a single, unified field, then how do you explain the vast chasm between one person's happiness and another's deep, abiding sorrow? It's a valid question, isn't it? We see it everywhere. One person is born into extraordinary wealth. Perhaps they inherit a factory or a business left by their grandparents, and they seem perfectly content, happy with their lot. And yet, another is born in a remote village, uneducated, toiling day after day on a tiny piece of land, perhaps half the size of this room, working from dawn until dusk for a pittance. He isn't concerned with grand philosophies. He's just working, 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 and he's deeply unhappy. So, does our happiness depend entirely on these external circumstances? Does it depend on our job, our wealth, our social position? Or perhaps we define happiness as something else. We say, I am happy when I am satisfied. I am satisfied doing a particular job, so I feel happy. I am not satisfied with my relationship, and therefore I am unhappy. We have made happiness synonymous with satisfaction, which in turn means we are constantly seeking gratification. We believe that if we can just arrange our lives perfectly, if we can get the right partner, the right job, the right amount of money, then we will achieve happiness. But is that what happiness is? Is it a goal to be pursued like a new car or a promotion? Or is it possible that true happiness is something else entirely, something that cannot be sought at all, but which comes unbidden like the wind and leaves just as quickly a byproduct of a life lived in a different way, a life in which the pursuit of happiness is not the central motive? This leads us to the second and perhaps far more profound part of the inquiry. The questioner adds, you say that thought is the me. Please, show me how. How do I show you? Do you expect me to project it onto a screen for you like a television program? Should I draw you a diagram, a flow chart with boxes and arrows pointing from thought to self? Or do you wish for me to merely show you verbally, to explain it step by step so that your intellect can grasp it and say, ah, yes, I understand? But would you then really understand it? I can explain, I can describe, I can build a logical case, but will you see the truth of it? Or will you immediately retreat into what you have been told, saying, no, that cannot be right? The self, the me, is something far superior. It is divine, it is the Atman, it is a soul, it is something permanent and beautiful. How do you receive such an explanation? Knowing, as you must, that the explanation is not the fact, the word is not the thing. The word window is not the glass and the frame that you look through. I can paint a breathtaking picture of a mountain, but that painting is not the mountain itself. You cannot climb it, you cannot feel its wind. So I cannot show it to you. I cannot hand you this truth as a gift. But what we can do, if you are willing, if you are not bored by it, is to investigate it together. We can walk this path and look at the thing itself. So let us begin. I ask you, And I ask you to be entirely frank and serious with yourself. What are you? When that question is put to you, what is your immediate answer? Aren't you first your name? Aren't you your form, your face, your eyes, your hair, your physical body? But you are more than that, aren't you? Aren't you the anger that flares up when you are insulted? Aren't you the greed that wants more money, more prestige, more followers? Or do you believe that the greed is somehow separate from you, a visitor that temporarily inhabits your mind? When you feel a profound wave of anxiety about the future, are you not that anxiety? When you suffer, and we all suffer when we lose someone we love, a partner, a child, a friend, is that suffering something separate from you? Aren't you all of that? Or do you think, and I use that word think deliberately, do you think that you are separate from it? Do you imagine there is a you standing apart watching all these things? Are you separate from your jealousy, from your ambition, from your bank account? Ah, the bank account. You are your bank account, aren't you? If I were to take it away, you would howl. Would you calmly say, "You can take my money, it is not me"? Or would you feel that a part of you had been violated, diminished? You are your furniture, which you have so carefully chosen. You are your house, your mortgage, your insurance policy. You are your social media profile, the carefully curated image you project, the number of likes and followers that define your social worth. But you might say, I am not all that. There is something deeper in me, a watcher, a super consciousness that is observing all this chaos. Is that a fact? Or is that an invention? Is it not an idea, perhaps a very beautiful and comforting one, that thought itself has created? Hasn't thought invented this higher self to give you a sense of permanence, a refuge from the messy, transient, and often frightening reality of your anger, your greed, and your attachment to your furniture? Look at it closely. Is not your bank account, not the physical money, but the idea of it, the status, the security, is that not the result of thought? Is not your recognition of your wife or husband, the entire history of your relationship, the image you hold of them, is that not a construction of memory which is thought? So, aren't you this vast collection of memories, traditions, and conclusions? Of course you are. You are the knowledge which you have accumulated, which is always the past. In fact, I would ask you to consider that you are nothing but your memories. Would you accept that? I suspect not, because it's a terrifying thought. But let us look at it. If all your memories were suddenly taken away, your name, your childhood, your language, your education, your personal triumphs, and your secret sorrows, every face you've ever loved, every book you've ever read, what would be left of you? You would be a living organism, perhaps, but the self, the me that you cherish, would be gone. You would be a vegetable, biologically alive but without an identity. Therefore, your memories, which are always rooted in the past, are precisely what you are. Your tradition as a Hindu, a Parsi, a Muslim, a Christian, an atheist, a capitalist, a socialist, what is that? It is the result of years, sometimes millennia, of propaganda, of tradition, of accumulated conditioning, which is all the activity of thought passed down from one generation to the next. So you are thought. If you don't think at all, if all thought ceases, what are you? You are the entire content of your past. And that past is not static. It is constantly modifying itself in the present as it encounters new experiences, and from that modification, it projects the future. This means you are the past, you are the present as it is interpreted by the past, and you are the future, which is simply the past's projected desire or fear. In you, as you, all of time is contained. The self, the me, my name, my qualities, my achievements, my ambitions, my failures, my pain, my sorrow is all the movement of the past. The self is the very essence of the past, which is memory, which is knowledge. And this is why the self is and must always be profoundly limited. Knowledge, by its very nature, is always limited. There is no complete knowledge. Science is always expanding, proving what it knew yesterday to be incomplete or wrong. Your own personal knowledge is a minuscule fragment of all that is. And if your self, your me, is built from this limited knowledge, this finite memory, then the self is the most limited thing in existence. It is this limitation, this finite me, that is causing such unuttered mischief and sorrow in the world. Each self is, by its very structure, out for itself. Please, if you are honest, just for this moment, see this clearly. Aren't you out for yourself? Your ambition, your desire to be seen, to be recognized, your drive for achievement, your desperate need for fulfillment, your constant nagging pursuit of satisfaction, and your terror of being a nobody. This is the self in action. It is a separative, divisive entity. Its very first act is to say, I am, which immediately creates the you are not. I am special, I am right, I am secure. It is this me that creates the division of my country versus your country, my God versus your God, my family, my company, my truth. So, thought is you. Thought is limited because all knowledge is limited, and therefore your self is the most limited, divisive, and dangerous thing. Now, sirs, I have explained it. I have laid out the map, the description. But as we agreed, the explanation is not the fact. The description of the prison cell is not freedom. The fact is for you to see this for yourself in your own life, as you live it, as you interact with your partner, your children, your colleagues. You have to see the self in action. If you see this for yourself, if you see that your entire being is this limited, past-driven mechanism, and you say, I like the way I am going on, I am comfortable in my prison, then it's perfectly all right. That is your choice. But you must then know with absolute clarity that you are choosing to create havoc in the world. You are choosing to live in conflict because the self is conflict. If you prefer to live that way, good luck to you. But there may be some of you, perhaps just one or two, who see this and say, this is not the way to live. This is a life of sorrow and division. One must find a way to live with a global brain, a mind that is not fractured by the self, not divided by nationality or belief. And please do not make this into some grand mystical illumination that only a few special saints or gurus can reach. That is just another trick of the self, trying to put freedom on a pedestal so it never has to actually pursue it. Anybody who sets their brain and their heart to understand the nature of this self, to watch it, to learn about it, to see its structure without judgment, and to be free of that self, anybody can do it if they put their whole mind and heart into it.